Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host, A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. Appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. All that and then some. So listen, we have a great show today. Today we're talking about, are we connected to our next generation? Are we listening? Are we doing more telling than listening? So that's our conversation today. What up, Richard? Good morning. Good morning. Remember, August 22nd will be our 500th episode and 500-ish. I'm working it out, but it's going to be our celebration of the 500th episode. So make sure you tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a nephew. So why is it so loud? All right, let me close down a little bit further. Don't do that. All right. Good morning, Cheryl. She said that beat is fire. Appreciate you. Make sure you are sharing, because sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. And I appreciate you guys for being a part of all that we do. Is that better? Thank you for being here. Let's see. So this is your opportunity to share. If you're not part of our text community, text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Don't miss a broadcast. Also, make sure you join our Discord community. She says better. It's going to be an interesting morning. I don't have full energy today. I don't know what's going on. I got my coffee on going. It's just not working today. So we're going to have a great show. Great broadcast either way. Yeah. All right. So hang tight. Hold on. Yeah, we'll be right back. Give me one moment. Let's do this. As Richard said, do everything via loving, love, kindness, compassion. That reciprocity, serendipity becomes your best friend and helper. Yes, indeed, Richard. Yes, indeed. All right, let's do this. All right, so maybe just me this morning. My peoples. Yeah. All right, let's do this. All right, it's just gonna be me. Let's go.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
Bam! Welcome back. All right. So today we're talking about, are we connecting to the next generation? Are we connecting to the next generation? In the conversation today, man, I probably for a while with different generations, the 30s, the 20s, some of the teens, just asking more or less, it's usually the music conversation. That's like our connection, disconnection. Just, if I've never said, I drive Lyft from time to time, and I have those that are riding, those passengers, if they're listening to something, I always give them the opportunity to play their music through the speakers in the car or whatever, just so we can all jam out to what you're jamming out to. And it's always an array of interesting music. It's interesting. Like, I used to call it bad, horrible, and all that, but everybody has different taste, and this generation hears music different than what we heard. If that kind of makes sense. But you got to think about the generation previous from us, didn't get with hip hop at all. They was just not feeling the music at all. At least quite a bit of people. Good morning, Mama Corey. So I think some of the challenges with bridging the gap between our generation and the previous generation comes down to just listening, being willing to have a real conversation without, instead of from a authoritative positioning, just kind of listen. And I get it because, you've been young, but you remember the time, what it feels like when those older than you won't listen. Um, let's see. Richard says, yes, to a point, but deep connection probably not. Generations probably agree 50% of the time. Yes, to a point, but deep connection probably not. Generation probably agree 50% of the time. I guess half the time we kind of agree generationally. If that's what you're saying, put thumbs up. If not, break it down to me. Hi, Sam. Amazing lady. um, but yeah, I think it comes down to listen. I think it really comes down to seeing the view um, from their perspective in certain respects. For the most part, when it comes to relationships and even opportunities, a scam is a scam. Someone who means ill will pretty much pops up quicker when you're older because you've been through so much. You can kind of see certain things, certain traits. Now, we're not always 100%, but for the most part, we see something. You know, if the person is solid, they see something, and they can kind of it's like just be mindful, baby, just be mindful. Because it's something. you know, oh, but when it comes to just growing and becoming better for the next generation, I truly believe it's about us trying to listen a little more so we can navigate through the thought process, because all that is said isn't wrong. Um, some may be off a little bit because, when you're younger, you're hyped up, you're ready to go. You haven't been scammed yet. You haven't really gone through, sometimes you haven't gone through a lot yet. And that's trust me, some by the age of 20 been through more than people that are like 50. So, I never discount somebody's uh what their trials may be, because some kids go through a lot. As children, they go through some stuff harder than adults do. And it's worse because their their obstacles are, their solutions are limited because of their age and the ability to get out of stuff, because either they're controlled by their parental people or the system. So they know I need to get out of this, but legally I can't until at least I'm 19 to 20. um but honestly, just I think it's about listening, truly, like having an open ear to have a conversation. Those in the comments, I want to ask you, like do you feel like you have a challenge connecting with the next generation, and why? You know, what is your biggest challenge with connecting with the generation of the past, or even those between the ages of 20 and 30? Mama Corey, of course, the following generation be her kids, but they're grown. Like, so for her, I'm placing it in more of an age space. How do you navigate the conversation between 20s and 30s? Rich says, I'm really, really working on the stealth mode, building relationships and connections, and early next year going to pay off huge time, like heavyweight connections and investors' doors being flung open. Awesome. That's awesome. But how would you translate that to the next generation? How would you help someone else do the same thing? You know, we've all been in spaces where listening was challenging. We didn't always listen. When good things were being told, we didn't always listen. Um, knowing we've had our hard head moments, how do you get to the next generation? All right, so I think some of it is disrespect. The younger generation oftentimes is disrespectful and dismissive. Yeah, I think I read that right. Dismissive. There you go. Yeah, I did. Um, indeed, indeed. But do you think the dismissiveness is from something else? Um, Is it, kind of like adults always trying to tell me something? These adults don't know nothing. Like, what where do you think the dismissiveness comes from? You know, because for me, when you're young, it comes from somewhere. Like, because I met young folks that at least sit and listen. They'll, whether they'll take action in what they hear, they at least sit and act like they hear you. They do a great job of like, I hear you. I'll at least I'll think about doing that, or I will do that. That sounds like something that might work for me. Do you think, what have you seen some of the traits of those that are dismissive? Cheryl says, my biggest challenge seems to be my intent to live outside of the world's standards. My biggest challenge seems to be my intent to live outside the world's standards. Um, and if it takes you a lot to explain, no pressure, but break that down. Just try to give me like a snippet of what you mean. They were raised by young kids. Right, right, right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Somebody younger who struggled with telling them something. So it's hard to maybe receive adults. All of that. It depends on the stage of where they are. Indeed. Indeed. Because I think that matters as well. Because it's about the reception. Because, like I've said before, and I'll probably repeat again, and I used to feel like maybe I was never taught this, and no one ever told me until someone shared with me talking to their the younger sibling and them saying the same things. And I was there when they were growing. I was like, it was told to them. Someone said something. So I had to reflect on my own life. And I was like, maybe someone actually did. I just wasn't listening. I can't, people say it all the time, man, no one told me about financial literacy. No one ever told me. No one ever told me. And I think in my head, is it possible that someone tried to tell you? You just wasn't listening. And because we remember what we want to remember in a sense. Like we kind of block out certain things unless something tragic happens or something big or huge that was a turning point in our lives. But the little stuff, the moments where you were just at the store counting your change and someone tried to drop some knowledge about money, and because they were older, they're driving an old Cadillac, like they didn't look like they were wealthy, because we don't know, because folks live off their pensions and retirements for 30 years. Like young blood, I haven't had to work in over 30 years because I made the right moves. Like I might have been your next door neighbor, but I haven't struggled nor wanted for anything. And you see, I go on vacation every year. Like he thought about like, oh, right. And I ain't seen you work a job since I've been watching you. Like, so you gotta think like they did something right, and we don't, it's the small things. And honestly, saying that out loud now is like, wow, I know several folks that hadn't worked a regular job or haven't really seen them work. Like I never like, where's such a not at work? They were like, oh, they on vacation. They away. Like what? Never realizing like they made smart moves when they were younger, and worked their time. And some of it's pension, but every place didn't have it. So either 401k, so they made smart investment moves. So, we have, I believe, when we were growing up, we had access. A lot of us had access. I'm not saying everybody. Everybody on here was like, I don't have access. If you really think about it, some of the people that were outside of your box, outside of your system of everydayness, your community, some of the bosses you got in contact with that talk to you a little more than average, whether they're white or black, they were probably offering some level of information or available. So that if you ever need to know something, I'm available. Now I get it, because some of the keys to life are asking the right questions. You ever realize that you ask the right question, you really get the answer you need. but sometimes we don't know the questions to ask. Um, I always talk about, I've said before, right? Because I've had so many shows. Um, you know, to get into the room with Warren Buffett, like what would you ask? You know, some people, there's some level of population that can know how to ask the right questions and can expand their portfolio. Where there's another group that would just ask some inquiring questions, that they would want to ask to, to increase their portfolio, but they don't know what to ask at their level. Like, what can I ask? Because listen, if I could just get 20% of what you have, that'll be an accomplishment. Good morning, Keita. Good morning. Let's see. Richard says, my dad retired at 55, lived on investments and pensions for 30 years, right? 3 holidays per year, indeed. It's a great book. Alan Pease, the answer is yes. Awesome, awesome. So it's those questions. And then let's flip it though. When dealing with the generation to come, what are the inquiring questions that you can ask them in order to get them to think differently, or to begin to think about certain things, because everybody comes at the same direction, the moral aspect, the financial aspect, but trying to give them some real concrete steps to enhance their life is definitely, can be challenging sometimes, because it's like, so what should I do today? Cheryl says, my accountability to living by God's standard in accordance with his word, with the word of God. Those people aren't really interested in the level of accountability and stay away from it until they're ready. I get you. Indeed, that accountability is for real. I mean, okay, so that's such a broad question. So someone, like, what I would say, start where you at. Some of the stuff you already know. Start where you at. Invest with what you know. Like if that would be like the question you would ask Warren Buffett. He didn't do anything magical. Like if you look at his history, he didn't do anything magical. He just invested consistently, had more money, invested more, had more money, and he invested in companies that he was interested in, and not just trying to make a profit. That was like one of the things. Invest in companies you're interested in their product. And he said, I think it's him that invests in people, not just the company. So like the CEO, things of that nature. So it's just incrementals. Then when there drops in the market, you got swooped down like a vulture and snatch up all the cheap stuff because it's going to grow in value. That's how he became a billionaire. Like he just snatched up the cheap stuff. It's all incrementals. Most of these wealthy dudes, outside of a product or idea like a Microsoft or an Apple or a Tesla, outside of that, it's incrementals. They just invested over time. Frugal. Invest. There's a percentage of your income you should be investing. A large percent. Large. Sacrificing lifestyle for investments. If you're really trying to get there. She said, I plant seeds and use practical examples. Indeed. Sometimes it's our language. It's how we approach those from another generation, the things that we say. Because if we come, you come in hot, you're just looking like mom and dad, just annoying me. Here we go. Instead of coming from a space of, I understand who you are. I understand you have some of the same goals that most people have. This is the way to get there. Let's see. Yes, the why determines your long-term success. Yeah, definitely. But Everything's consistent and incrementals, consistent and incremental, going through the process, consistent and incrementals. It's unfortunate. I've kind of studied, watched, YouTube, watched a lot of, and my wife can attest, a lot of documentaries I watch on people because I'm so interested in how their pivot point, what happened, because it's always, honestly, getting off topic for a quick second, it's always something that they got or happened during their journey that shot them to the moon. It's always a pivot point. YouTube is probably the only space where, I mean, honestly, YouTube is a pivot point as well, because what happens, people are talking about certain subjects and then they just happen to talk about a particular subject that everybody else is talking about right at the time people are searching for it, and your views skyrocket. And if what you're talking about that's popular is in line with everything else that you've been talking about, then they're gonna go down a rabbit hole of, oh, AD Walker. Oh, let me look at this. Let me look at this. Let me look at this. It's generally that's generally how it works. The why, yes, but can be augmented and pivot and evolves to involve more. Indeed, I think definitely knowing your why is key. Knowing what you want to do, knowing it, kind of having your purpose. But I don't stick hard to it. I may have a why that involves a particular thing, but most things pivot. Your success and wealth starts going one direction, and you can pick up another interest. Like for me, like I started doing one way, and then I saw a need, so I stepped into that space. And I think a lot of times that's what takes you to the next level, but it's that consistency, being on top of what's in front of you, knowing your environment, knowing what you're connecting to is part of the way to become successful. And teaching the next generation, I think it's the money management of it. And then you can get into the things that you have passion for or you want to make a change in, is key. What my goal to teach a lot of the next generation, especially when it comes to Brothers of Legacy, is how to not get into the rat race. Not talking about not get a job. What I'm talking about is the have tos of life and being able to handle when things collapse or crumble. Because most people aren't ready. They're always watching the news and they're, oh my gosh, a recession is coming. Oh my gosh, the recession is designed. He said, are you saying for what I'm saying? It's designed that way. I don't believe that you have to follow the design though. Like, I truly believe if you understand taking, like I've been telling a lot of young people, telling my children as well, to only live on half of what you are, live on half of what you're receiving, half of it. And then even take 10%, take your tithes out of that half that you're living on, and take the other 50 and put it away, invest it, like do a, what is it? Not an IRA, not an investment account, like a mutual fund kind of system. If I can think of the word towards the end, but it's kind of like a compilation of stocks that they come together, and you kind of mutual fundish, but not in the retirement space because you're not stuck with a penalty if you pull out, but more one of those companies, and because your money will grow. And so, like, even when the stock drops, that's a beautiful time if you're investing, because money's going in and picking up stocks at a cheaper price. So yeah, I would definitely taking half, and pretty much by the time you're 30, you could be set for life. Real talk. Then you can buy the business that you want to get into. Not a literal, not a literal design. No, I got what you're saying though. I do think certain things were designed, you know, school, college, work, work, and work, and behooving, stuck to working because of the things that you have. ETF. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I could not. There you go. ETFs, yeah, they're kind of like the mutual funds, but they're companies that invest like there are, and you kind of pick your lane. Do you want something hard, like that's investing aggressively into stocks, so it's going to be the ups and downs, or you want someone that's doing stocks and bonds? Um, he said, "AD, you can live off of 30, invest 50, give away. Wait, live off of 30, invest 50, and give away 20. Passive fund best outperforms. Yeah, 9% to 11%. Indeed. What up, Jeff? Good morning. So yeah, definitely. I think opening up the mindset. He said, no matter how you're led, we must not lean onto our own understanding. Indeed, in all our ways, acknowledge him, and he would direct our path. And indubitably, we have to allow the Spirit to move us and to lead us. Indeed. But we have to be able to connect to really bring that understanding of who God is. We have to really be able to connect. I think a lot of times we miss the connection, the human connection, the understanding, yeah. And unfortunately, anybody that grew up in church, sometimes it's the hardest because they've seen too much. They've seen too much, It's just it can get rough sometimes. Like I didn't grow up in church, so it was easy for me to get into that world and get saved at 20. Yes, they allow flexibility and diversity of options. Indeed. But yeah, it definitely, connected with the next generation. I think, like I said, this is all about being, I guess, empathetic but listening. Just gotta listen. Just have a conversation. Like I said, instead of trying to dictate or tell somebody what they should or should not be doing, it's just about having a conversation. Just keep increasing income streams and revenue streams. I studied markets for a decade to educate myself. Indeed, it's just incrementals, but it's creating the consistency in investing, the consistency in the savings to get us to where we need to go. That matters more than anything. And the habits, creating habits, what do you wake up on? How do you wake up? What do you do with your day matters. And I think teaching the next generation on being more time conscious, because tomorrow's never promised. And time is something I know I've personally wasted, doing things that mattered little to none. I should have been doing this. Instead, I was stuck here. Cryptos and Forex. That's such a cuss word in the in the internet space. It's real. It's real. Woo. You start off a sentence with crypto or Forex, I am blocking you. Forefathers. He said our forefathers had the same option with different level of exposure. Yeah, definitely. Because they're real. They're real things. They're real investment spaces. Crypto's going through a kind of up and down. I definitely believe the system of crypto will definitely survive. There's no doubt about it. I think the problem seems like there's just some crooked people that are getting into crypto. Running these large crypto companies. And they're just not running it transparently. They are promising things the standard they can't uphold. I don't get it. I'm trying to figure out, because they do well and they create a solid system. Because it's a solid system of trust. And once the trust is gone, that's when your crypto drops. So, but anyway, but definitely, like a lot of the new generation is getting into crypto, but it's such a wild west right now. It is such a wild west, and I think the grab is though they're looking to be the one to invest early enough so when it explodes, it blow fluctuates. They can sell before it crashes because that's what's going on. Everything's just crash, up, crash. And that's constantly happening. So, our forefathers had the same obstacles. All right, let's pastors come in the building. We're gonna chat with him for a minute, then we're getting out of here because I need a nap. All right, hold on a second. All right, let's get it. Where's that button? Got up early. Had a rough night or something. What's up, Pastor? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
All
How you
right.
doing? Look, the student late for class.
Right. So today we're talking about are we connecting to the next generation, or like what may be our disconnect, or what are some of the challenges with connecting with the next generation that you may see? You have a next generation that is just grown out of your household, just as moaning. And then parents is one thing, because that's another space. It's to me it's different, when you're talking with somebody outside your household as opposed to someone that's in your household and always got to hear your mouth. Like just, yeah, dad, I know, dad, yeah, dad. For you're looking for someone else to come outside and confirm all the stuff you've been saying to them. Like, have you had that come to you like, dad, someone told me, like, girl, I told you that like 3 years ago.
like 3 years ago and 50 times.
Right. Right.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Right. Well, at least you got it now. At least you got it.
But it's funny we say that, but here's what I've learned, and this is why scripture is so important. And good morning, everybody. I apologize for my tardiness. A lot going on. The scripture tells us that Paul said, I planted, Apollos watered, but God giveth the increase.
Right.
Right. And so I've learned that whenever something that I have repeatedly stated in my home, I feel like it might have fallen on deaf ears, but then it comes back after someone else has said it. That's the watering. Right. You plant the seed as parents. Someone else comes and waters the seed, and then God provides the understanding, the increase. That's why we have to train up a child in the way that they should go. It takes a long time for us to see that they got it.
Right.
But the reality is you have to plant the seed of training, give them what they need. And in life, the watering process happens. And then God provides the increase, the expansion, the validation of what has been put in them. So I've been learning to not be so concerned about those types of things. What I find myself saying to my wife all the time, it's in them. Right. They have it in them. And at some point it's going to show up. Right. Right. Because I think about, this conversation is had, this question is asked between every generation. How are we connecting? How are we connecting? Right. My mother's generation was wondering if we were going to survive because we were so crazy.
Right.
Right. And so I think it comes with every. What's funny is with me, I have my oldest is 34.
Okay.
And my youngest is 18. But they're the same generation. For me.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Wow.
So I get a chance. I used to say this. I used to say my older children, my grown children are my dumb children because I was a dummy when I had them.
Right.
And I said my younger children are my smart children because I had a little bit more sense.
Right.
And then I realized I was a dummy for all five.
Right.
But I think that I think we have to rest in the comfort that when you believe and trust what you have put in them, you have connected,
Right.
and at some point it's going to begin to manifest.
Yeah.
So that's just where my faith is. That's what I
Right.
believe, because I see my children doing some stuff that's like, "Wow, where did that come from?"
Right.
You know. But I realize it's in them.
What about those that are outside the home? How do you ever have any connective moments like to their friends, and do you have conversations with them? What are the receptions like outside the house? When you're trying to have their conversations.
The interaction with my children's friends has always been wonderful. It always
Okay.
has. But I think that comes from the culture that they're raised in, and that impacts or has an impact on what they attract, what they draw in, who they consider friends, associates,
Right.
right?
Right.
And because they pick the lane, we pick the lane, we have conversations, and I've always believed in allowing children to decide who they want to love.
Gotcha.
I can't control who you love. I can't control who you like. I can only bring understanding,
Right. Right.
right? And input, guidance, mentoring.
Right.
That's what I look to do. And so we try to talk about it. What bothers me is if you have a friend that I don't know about.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you get into that? Why is it that you're so close to this person, but your family doesn't know who they are?
Right.
That's where you have to start questioning and wondering, and inquiring what's going on. But for the most part, and you're going to have a little bit of that because children know what's right, what's wrong, and if they feel like they're skirting along the edge.
Oh, they got a friend that's in some kind of mess. It's like, yeah, I can't bring you by the house.
Validation that the seed that you put in them,
right,
is there. It's active, right?
I got you.
So,
I got you.
Yeah, not every child that's sneaking around is because they're evil.
No, I got
they sneaking around because they're shameful.
Because they know the standard.
They know the standard.
Right.
Yeah. And so what you have to do is just reemphasize the standard, encourage them, and let them know that. I tell my children, I raise them saying that you'll have to face the consequences when you do something wrong.
Right. Right.
But the consequences will always be multiplied when you lie about it. Because not only do you have to deal with the consequences at some point,
right,
but then you also have to deal with the dishonesty.
Yeah. Right. True.
So what I'm saying is, let's just tell the truth and deal with the consequences. When they were young, I said, you're not gonna get a whooping when you do something wrong, when you make a mistake, right? But you lie about it. Whoo!
That's it. I'll tell my son that. Just tell the truth. Let's just get over it. It's okay. It annoys me more when I think this third child that supposedly lived in this house again did something that nobody knows how it happened.
Yeah. So, I've learned to, certain things go wrong. I've learned to not react.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry that happened. You're sorry? Yeah, I know it feels bad. I know that's horrible. I know you had to be scared of what. Yeah.
Right.
We hear stories. We have older siblings. We know what you're capable of.
Oh, see. They don't have that kind of reference. Everything they got is like firsthand. Like
and then you got the older ones like, what you let them do what?
You let them get away with it? You would have killed us. Oh man, that is funny. It's like, I don't want to hear about your growth. Give them what you gave us. I don't want to hear about your maturity. Give them what you gave us. Oh man, I think that's like the grandparents. Like they did what? I was like, Grandma got you? No, she didn't. What you mean? You let them get away with that?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a great point. So yeah, definitely. I hear you on the growth, and the connection. I that 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 yeah, that truth telling is something else. But yeah, so how do we? I mean, yeah, you can only give what you give. Seed, water. Hopefully, they grow. And like, and you made a point. You're right. Our generation, we were sagging, wearing pants backwards, craziest stuff. Like, we were the X generation. We was the like, I don't know what about to happen to this world.
I'll tell you
when these
something.
guys grow up.
I went into a store. Ooh, we had to be 27 years ago, shopping for some clothing, and people were sagging, and I saw this outfit. I went into one of those like hip hop stores.
Okay, right. I got you.
I don't forget the name of it because I'm not a shopper. But this day I was at the mall by myself in LA.
Okay.
And I saw this outfit, multicolored outfit. The pants were kind of oversized, and I was like, "Go try that on and see," And this young man was helping me, and I'm in my 20s,
Right.
And I came out, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is popping." And the guy was like, "It doesn't look good on you," and I'm like, "Who are you to tell me what looks good on me?"
Right.
Like and he was like, "Because I saw you when you came in."
Wow.
This wasn't you when you came in the door.
Wow.
So how's it going to be you going out? And the thing is, he didn't know me from anything.
Right.
This was a younger person. He was a teenager.
Wow.
Looking at me, and I'm just in my 20s.
Wow.
And he was like, "Nah, you too grown for this." Because I saw you when you came in. You don't even he was like, it was like, "David, these weapons don't fit me.
Right.
Have not been tried by me." I was like, wow. And so I took it off and I didn't buy it.
Wow.
So the lesson is for us in connecting with the next generation is don't think you can't learn something from them.
Right. That's true.
We start acting like we're the ones pouring. We're constantly the pitcher.
Right.
And they're constantly the glass.
Yeah.
And you can never get anything from them. You lose young people if you can't hear them.
Right. Yes, and I'll start off saying that as well. You gotta listen. We gotta be able to have a conversation, see where they're coming from.
I got kicked off a radio.
Oh yeah, I remember you said that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
The owner of the radio said children are seen and not heard.
Right.
And I was like, the devil is a lie. If you don't listen to your children, you're gonna hear them later.
Right. That's true.
She wouldn't let me come back on the radio because she was like, "That's not good teaching." When I grew up, children, you saw them, but you didn't. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And where are your children now?
Right.
That's not the conversation. What?
Right. Like they leave the church, like you ain't talk to them. You don't know why they left. Like you don't know what was said because you're not allowing them to speak. So they got a little hurt, and now I'm out. I'm not about to stay here because you ain't listening to me anyway. So I'm gone. Once I get the opportunity, once the church thing becomes a choice, once I get to choose, I'm out. Yeah. So
if a child is breaking toys, they're talking.
Right.
If a child is painting butterflies, they're talking.
Wow. You're right. That's good. I'm gonna let this sizzle in your spirit. Anybody listening? Like, my child sure was showing somebody stabbing somebody in the head. Yeah, they talking.
They're talking.
They're talking.
Yeah.
They're talking. Yeah.
Absolutely. The question is, can you hear your child when they're talking? I know that. I mean, I've had to come to the realization of the seasons that I didn't hear my children. Right. And then when it got loud, I'm like, "Oh Lord, I missed that. I didn't get it. I didn't catch it the first time."
Right.
I tell people all the time that as parents, as older generation, you don't know what kind of parent you are until your children are old enough to express themselves without fear of the consequences.
Right. That's good, Lisa. So they're not always acting
right.
up. But
not always acting up, but acting. Absolutely. They're always talking. Always. Right. And then, Lisa, to your point, we mislabel behavior. Right? We mislabel it. You just lazy, good for nothing. You're just like your daddy, just like your mama. Well, I can't do nothing with you. Words have power.
Right. Right.
Words have power. People
Keita
used to say sticks and stones would break my bones, but words would never hurt. That's a lie from the
That's
pit. Words hurt.
Right. Indeed.
Be careful how you talk to your children. Be careful how you talk to me, and I'll be 55 this year.
Keita says, I'm listening now to my kids clearly and my grandkids. Yeah.
Right, because you realize you didn't hear them before.
Right.
Because the hustle and bustle of life, you're trying to work, you're trying to put food on the table, you're trying to make sure the clothes are there for them to
Right.
wear, you're trying to make sure the hair is braided, they take their bath, you go to you got to do all these things. So I don't have time to be sitting around here tripping with you because Sally didn't play with you.
Right. Right.
Wait a minute. The fact that Sally didn't play with me makes me feel insecure about myself.
Right. Right.
Go find you another friend. No, I like Sally.
Right.
I need you to hear my heart.
Yeah.
Listen to your children. Watch them. Pay attention. Zoom in because you miss it. Life can cause you to miss it if you're not paying attention. And then you wonder, whose child is this? This is not the child I raised. Who are you and where did you come from? Those are the kind of things that people begin to say. I get all this stuff from people. I don't even know who that is. You wasn't raised in my house.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think that's I'm gonna say fear. My greatest fear is me missing something and my child is different, if that makes sense.
Like, it does.
Like,
but let me encourage you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Right. Like, when did you start liking that?
Yeah.
When did you start wanting to wear that?
Right. I've always liked this.
Right.
You don't remember what I used to draw on my paper in the first grade?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because my kids don't have phones yet. We're working on that, but we're talking about it. I think it's about time because we've been having disconnects with school and stuff. I'm like, all right, I might have to break down. We gotta get this phone thing going. And we got an old phone. She listening to music a lot. My daughter, so we always like, hey, what you listening to? So I listen to what she's listening to. She's open. She's still wide open. Just hey, this is what I'm listening to. This, So I'm like I said, I just don't want that moment. like when you start listening to to AC/DC? Wait. Right. Sam saying, yeah, I don't think it's really time, but yeah, because there are gaps, and I'm like, man, I need to call these kids. I need to find out what these kids at, because the buses, and it's like, so we're about that time. But yeah, I think that's just like my fear. That's just, because my son, he plays game. I make sure I'm watching. We watch him playing games together, and I play with him sometimes. Like, okay, I see where we at. Like, I'm tracking it. I'm tracking. I just that jump. You just like, what? Wait a minute. Wait. So yeah, I think that's just I just throwing it out there, guys. I know not really part of the conversation, but it's part of the conversation. That's just been my fear, just that jump. And anybody on here, so have you had that jump before? And could you track it back? Like you said, Pastor, like I've been drawing this thing for the last 5 years. I just finally found the culture that's into this thing. So now I'm all in, So anybody on here, put it up in the comments if you don't mind sharing or whatever. But yeah, just that jump. Have you guys ever experienced that jump? Or did you see it and the ball was already rolling? It's just now mitigating the level of pain that they may go through in this lifestyle. Like, I need you to clearly understand this lifestyle that you're stepping into, So yeah, that's, like I said, that's been my concern. And so for you, Pastor, have you had that jump? Because, you got the oldest 30-year-old, 25-year-old, have you had that? Have you seen a jump like inside while in your care? When they go out, it's harder because so much influence, so much.
Help me understand when you say jump.
So jumping from like the character or person I know that I felt like I've been tracking like you're growing, because you got all girls. Well, your boy has passed, but like the girls growing and just watching them go from, you know, like Barbie girl to, to I want to be sexy looking, like I want to be attractive, not sexy so much, but I want to be attractive. But getting into something that you like, when did you start liking like either hip hop, or when did you start liking this particular thing? I don't even know what it may be, but something just outside of a box that you've not exposed them to, or you don't know anybody else that's connected to this thing,
In terms of behavioral patterns,
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think there was a jump for me,
Okay.
because I didn't get everything right, but I did pay close attention.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So my children don't really surprise me,
Okay.
because and I say that because I surprised myself already. I think all the shock came through my life,
Right. I got you.
And I think my own life's experience caused me to pay, not that I had all the right answers, but I was watching.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I could see the behavioral patterns. And so like my oldest, I've always communicated with my children,
Right.
good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
So I don't think I missed a jump. Like when I think about my oldest, I look at her life today. I'm like, okay, yep, yeah. There's things I love and things but it's not a surprise. I look at my second oldest.
Right.
You probably went a little extreme on that one,
Right.
but it wasn't a real jump to me.
Okay.
Brian Jr. I can't, out of all five of them, and I can't really say that I woke up one day and was like, oh my God, when did that?
Right. That right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, as a father with daughters and
Yeah.
that whole, showing skin,
Yeah.
that's not a jump to me. That's
Okay.
just that irritating. I want to be pretty.
Right.
You are pretty.
Right.
Even with the dress down to your ankles, you pretty.
Right.
But
Right.
but when I was 18, the dress down to the ankles wasn't pretty to me. Right?
That realistic view.
You got to keep it real, man. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and allow them to express themselves. I this is something that I've learned. I've learned to not say. I said this a long time ago. I don't say, "Ooh, you're gonna be a doctor." No, you're gonna be a lawyer. You're gonna be no. Mm-mm. I'm not putting that on my children. You're gonna be the best at whatever it is that you do. Right. You decide.
Right.
I don't want to paint them into a corner.
Mm.
Those are the things that mess our children up early in life.
True.
And we limit them,
Yeah.
by telling them what they're going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And we destroy ourselves in the church.
Right.
God told me God called you to preach. God called you to really? God called you to call?
You are the caller. That's funny.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That is true.
I think what we have to do, we taught our children to explore, to be curious.
Right.
Yeah. I tell my children, I said, if anything, make sure you plant your feet in foreign soil before you decide to make something your permanent residence. See the world.
Yeah.
So that and understand when you begin to create and carve out your world,
Right.
you make an informed decision.
Right.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Because you have people that like you can train a child to live comfortably within a 6-block radius.
Right.
Just by the world you show them.
Right. And that's all they
Or
know.
you can train a child to be a world traveler by the world you show them.
Right.
And everything in between, just by what you expose them to.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful that we give our children as much information, as much data, as much knowledge as we can,
Right.
uh, so that they can make informed decisions. You know,
That's
I
it.
tell people, you know, my philosophy. I heard this from Dallas Wilson. He said, "You won't make an ignorant decision; it'll be a dumb decision because you knew."
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
So I
That's it.
stole that, and I've been quoting it ever since. You know, and it's funny, right? I've been teaching my clients that for years and years and years. I want you to make an informed decision. I want to make sure you have all the information that you need,
Right.
so that your decision is based on everything, that all the possibilities.
Right.
And so that's the same thing that we need to do with our children, because it builds confidence. The more information they have, the more confident they can be
Indeed.
in their decision making process.
That's good.
So that's my philosophy.
That's good. That's good. All right, guys. Hopefully, we gave you something, a little nugget to think about connecting with the next generation, particularly your children in the same household. I get that. Of course, their first priority. It's like, I need to connect with them first. So be open minded. You know, open the conversation and make sure you're listening. You know, I know as parents of old school generations, we kind of be quick on the trigger sometimes, and just give them an opportunity to explain. Sometimes just let's give them the opportunity. Hold your yelling like, I'ma listen. Okay, that's dumb. That's so true. We realized we did all right as parents when they were grown. All right, that's good.
That was easy for me. They survived my parenting. I did good.
Great conversation.
Still here.
Thank you, Robert Corey. So again, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Join our text community. Text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576. Never miss a broadcast. And next week, hopefully, my folks still come through because I hit everybody up really early. Where's that button? Oh, hit the wrong button. We are approaching our 500th episode, so make sure you are checking out next week. Next week, we've been doing this thing 3 years plus.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's been 3 years now. I think I missed my anniversary, but it's all good. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, DOL.
Yes, indeed. All right, so we look forward to seeing you guys. Same time, same channel. Continue to stay safe, make good choices, do the right thing. If you're having a mental health crisis or you know someone in a mental health crisis, dial 988. 988. All right. So continue to stay safe, make good choices, and drive safe here, especially if you're in Georgia. Please slow down. It's all good. You'll get there. Slow down. All right. Know that we love you. God loves you more. Stay safe. And if you're in the Snellville area, just happen to be, right? I'm from Snellville. Hey, come hang out with us at Holy Fellowship tonight. We look forward to seeing you. All right. Take care. Be blessed, guys. Keep pushing, keep growing. Peace out.